this video, we're going to go through the masonry wall panel design included in your TEDS trial. To begin any of your TEDS calculations, simply click on the New button and navigate to the calculation you would like to run. Once you have located the calculation, you can easily just double-click on it or select the Calculate button in the lower right-hand corner to begin the calculation. Don't forget to check out the notes we have included for each module outlining the scope, which codes were used to create the calculation, and any assumptions and limitations that have been made or are present. Once you start the calculation, your output page will start in the background, and then you will be presented with a series of interfaces. Each one of these works like a book, top to bottom and left to right. You will also notice a parametric sketch on the left-hand side that will continue to update as you move through the interfaces. First, we will start by adding a description of my panel. This will change the title of your calculation in your output to allow it to be more meaningful to your project. Next, we will enter in some of the basic wall panel details like the length and the height. You can choose to include a parapet by selecting this box and then entering in a parapet height. Now that the basic geometry is entered, we will move on to the construction of the wall. The wall thickness will need to be entered in as an actual thickness of the wall, not the nominal size. Note that we have included the actual thicknesses for a 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch wall, but you can enter in any thickness you'd like by simply typing it in. Next, we need to select whether or not we are using concrete or clay block, hollow or solid block, and running or stacked bond. Now we need to enter in the material properties for both the block and the mortar. In this example, we will use the defaults for all of these, but notice in the mortar you have several options available to you: PCL, mortar cement, masonry cement, and air and train PCL for kinds of mortars, M, S, and N for mortar types, and then full and face only for bedding types. Next, you'll have the opportunity to tweak the concrete block properties. The program will default to your traditional block dimensions and attributes, but should you be working with a unique block shape, like a retaining wall block, you can adjust the dimensions and options here to replicate that. For now, we will assume we are using a standard 8-inch CMU block. Last, you will need to select what type of reinforcement you would like to include. You have the option to do either vertical or horizontal, or both. In this example, we will use both, so now we need to click on the reinforcement button to enter in the desired types. You can select whether or not the masonry is exposed to earth, but in this example we will assume that it's not. For my horizontal reinforcement, I'm going to use a W2.1 with 2 wires at a spacing of 8 inches for my joint reinforcement. For my vertical reinforcement, I'm going to stick with the number 5s at 24 inches centered in the block. Now I need to define my supports. My out-of-plane condition is going to be a pinned pin, and my in-plane condition will be considered a fixed free. Moving on to loading, in this interface you simply enter in the loads that will be acting on this wall. TEDS will automatically calculate the seismic load for the wall itself, but you can add additional load if necessary. Notice that my construction menu has now turned back to red. Apparently something I entered in the loading caused TEDS to ask me to re-verify my construction attributes. Simply go back and click on this menu and verify that nothing has changed. Next, you will need to select your load combinations and which code you would like to use. I'm going to select the AEC 710 and turn on all of my load combinations for completeness. In regards to the design options, you have the ability to design to the MSJC 2005, 2008, or 2011. You can also choose from using the allowable stress design or strength design. You will need to add in your seismic properties in this window as well. We will select a seismic design category of C, but will leave the rest of the defaulted selections. Do note that TEDS does also include special reinforced masonry walls. Due to the size and the complexity of this calculation, the results by default have been turned off in this window to help speed up the processing time. We recommend that you wait to turn these on until you have entered in most of the information required for this calc. Otherwise, it will need to recalculate every time you enter in a new piece of information. Lastly, you need to select your output options. You have the ability to select a full output or a summary for this calculation. Depending on your region and who ultimately will be reviewing these calculations, this may vary. However, it is very simple to switch back and forth as needed. You can also select if you want graphics included in the output or not. Once you select Finish, you will get a line-by-line output going through each of the calculations included in the design. Every variable will be defined, each equation written out, and every code reference provided. This eliminates the black box feel entirely. This calculation also includes an interaction diagram for your reference. Now, if something needs to be changed within the calculation, simply click on the Calculate button and the same series of interfaces will appear. Make whatever changes are necessary to update your calculation and hit Finish. The output will automatically be updated. Be sure to check out the other TEDS trial videos that go through each of the other included calculations, as well as how to customize them using TEDS for Word.